In this video, I'm going to share with you the top 5 metrics that you should look at first if you're starting out and managing Google Ads. I'm doing this video because one of my coaching students asked me to. I offer free coaching calls to my email list, which you can join below, and help someone get a job. And he was managing a bunch of Google Ads, and he wasn't sure what to work on. And he wanted my opinion. He trusted me. I was like, there's videos about this already, but he was like, I prefer someone I trust, I can relate to, rather than just some random articles or videos online. Okay, so I actually prepared a short presentation and I'm going to share my screen now and go through these top 5 traits. All right. So you should see the first one here. The first one is return on ad spend. On a high level, leaders care about how much did I spend on ads total and how much did that yield back. So the calculation is very high level. It's like across the whole platform. And first, you just look at the total amount you spent in the time period. And you also look at the amount of dollars you return back. And you usually calculate that by identifying some type of lifetime value or revenue that was acquired per purchase or per lead that you obtained, depending on the business. And then you just multiply those two together. So it's basically the amount that you made divided by the amount that you spent total across the time period you decided on. So for example, let's say you spent $1,000 in the month of October. And in that time, you got 12 conversions. And let's say those conversions are for a purchase of a t-shirt on your website. So you can, let's say your revenue was $10 per t-shirt. That is 12 times 10, 120, divided by 1,000. And that's how much return you got. In this case, you didn't make a return because you didn't make much back. But let's say you got 1,000 t-shirt sales. All of a sudden, it's 12,000 over 1,000. Now you made a 12 times return on the amount of ad spend. Once again, this is still just a high level metric. As you get more complicated and deeper, the business leader will have to kind of calculate like, okay, well, revenue, I still need to subtract my expenses and costs. How much did I actually make profit? But usually as an ad manager, you don't have to deal with that. I would say 99 times out of 100, you let the business owner and leader deal with that. They just want like this high level number and you should be good to go. And in some businesses, you're going to have to do some calculation to get it because the conversion is not always going to be a t-shirt sale. It's not going to be as clean as that. Sometimes it's more about like leads, like especially if you're working with like insurance companies or, high ticket types of businesses. Um, the best you could get online is a lead, and then you won't find out for weeks later if that sale closed because they're trying to sell this high ticket offer. And so you're going to have to just give them, okay, this is how much we spent, this is how many leads we got. And sometimes the leaders will give you like a dollar value per lead, like let's say it's $50. Then you multiply that by the amount of leads and then divide that by ad spend. Same thing, just with leads. Sometimes I've seen this often, the businesses won't even be willing to give you the dollar value per lead. So they just want to tell you the amount of leads you provided and then the total ad spend in that time. And then they'll calculate it on their own. So it just depends on the business. If is it B2B, is it B2C? But you get the idea. It's just a very high level thing. Now, as you start to manage the platform more, we're going to start to get to more granular numbers. So one of them, which is a bit more specific from ROAS, is cost per conversion. So a conversion is defined as some type of key interaction on your site. This could be when someone actually basically turns into a lead or maybe makes a key click on the site or adds something to the cart or checks out. You want it typically keep this as close to your most important value as possible, which is usually like, something related to making money. That said, it depends on the business. I've worked with some nonprofits where they cared not about making money, but donations and volunteer submissions. So their biggest measure is when they donate something, when they press that button to that final submit form button to make that donation to the organization. Or in the case of healthcare, since it's very difficult to track certain things related to revenue because of, the red tape related to laws like HIPAA and other privacy laws, they use the best proxy metric they can. So their conversion is sometimes when someone clicks that button that takes someone to the MyChart portal or health portal, where then they log in and then book the appointment. So the best proxy metric is that click, that's their conversion. And you'll see this in other industries as well, when there's just a lot of red tape around web tracking. So then you simply divide the cost, the dollar value, the amount you spent, the ad spend in that time period by the amount of conversions. And then you get the dollar amount per conversion. And so this is oftentimes the next best thing when, return on ad spend isn't available or you can't get it, because the business leaders, the managers can now at least tell, and this is super useful to them, okay, we spent this much money per acquisition of a customer. And so let's say sometimes that number is like $50 or $10. Then they could say, okay, we spent this much to acquire a customer. I can do that. I can spend $10 per acquisition of a customer or acquisition of a lead, because I know, and sometimes they'll keep this information from you, or you don't have to go as far as to figure it out yourself because you're just the ad manager. But then they can calculate other things off of that. Like, okay, if I spend $10 to acquire a lead and I know that 20% of leads turn into an $1,000 high ticket coaching program, then that's worth it to me. Only $10 to acquire a lead and 20% of them convert. Man, that's like I'm printing money. So that's a best case example, but you get the point. Okay, third number is the number of conversions. Once again, conversions are, as you can tell, really important here. Sometimes you just want to tell them like, okay, this is how many conversions we got you. Um, Sometimes I work with companies that are looking to hire, and their hiring department or website or whatever you want to call it, their department is just as important, if not more important, than their business. So because of that, they really care about the amount of people that they hire. And so depending on what you set your conversion to, it could be the number of people who will get hired, or in some cases, proxy metrics that are also important. Number of job applications you got, number of people who completed job application, or in some cases, I've been able to connect with the job platform and get analytics like the amount of people who were interviewed after they applied, number of people who were moved on to the second round and screened, and then the number of people who were hired. And so when you give those metrics, just the raw count of the conversions, sometimes that's enough, because the leaders can kind of look in the back end and see, okay, I know how much I spent on ads this month. How much did that yield me? And so that data can be very useful. And you can also break that down into specifics in the ad platform by keywords. You can break a lot of these metrics down that I'll mention in by keywords. So you can see something like, okay, this keyword got me a lot more conversions than that one. Maybe I should allocate more budget to this keyword versus that other one. Um, and so I think that's really important. You can also break that out by ads. So you can sometimes run multiple different ad variations um, on a certain keyword you're bidding on in Google Ads. And then you can see which ad yielded more conversions. And then that's how you split test ads and see which ad is the better performer. Because when what you're bidding on is when someone searches something, they go to search results, and then at the top you'll see like an ad with like a headline and then a small description and a link, and that's what people click on to go to your site. Conversion rate. Your landing page is really important here. When people click on your Google ad and they get taken to a landing page of your choice, I found in my experience that 99 times out of 100, you want to send to a squeeze page rather than like a home page or something. That's a huge beginner mistake, to send to a home page or something with a bunch of links and navigation menu and all this stuff. Most people who are very successful Google Ads, they design and create a specific page called a squeeze page, where essentially there's only one action a user can take when they go onto that page. It's usually to sign up, purchase, become a lead, fill out a form. Why is that? Because when you are distracted on a homepage with oftentimes 20 different links that you can click, different ways you can go in the navigation menu, different places you can click off to, guess what happens? People get distracted and they go in the most random places and no one converts. They're going to all these other links on the site, and oftentimes that homepage or whatever page you're sending to has multiple CTAs that take you to different places, multiple forms you could fill, things that you don't care about that they could fill out. And so they get distracted or they navigate in the most random ways, and your conversion rate is going to be a lot lower. So one part of being a good ads manager is not just managing the user journey from when they see the ad to when they click on it, but also managing your journey when they click on the ad and get to your landing page and convert. And so if you set up web tracking properly, you will see the conversion rates. And if they're very, very low, it does not matter how much traffic you send or how much you optimize the ads, because you're basically sending all this traffic to a leaky funnel where there's one step that has a big hole in it because people aren't converting. So you also have to really monitor the conversion rate and make sure that they are good enough. You, as a caveat, you have to make sure you have enough traffic before you make a determination. Let's say you have a small traffic, small budget. You can't just look at a conversion rate by keyword, and if a certain keyword only got 17 impressions that month and 2 clicks, that's not a large enough sample size to be statistically significant to declare this landing page bad or good. So there is some of that. Now, in my experience, also some websites, some businesses just never have enough of a budget or large enough traffic to be able to get a large enough sample size. So it is sometimes a bit more of an art than a science. You have to make your best guess based off the data you have, but it certainly does help if you have a lot of budget so you can run a lot of traffic and then determine if a landing page is good enough. I think a good rule of thumb that the web uses, that the community uses is, 50 clicks. 50 clicks isn't always statistically significant in terms of statistics, but it's enough people. Some use 100 clicks, but oftentimes that's can get really expensive depending on the keyword you're bidding on. But if you send 50 clicks to a website, that's enough data to really get a sense to see if this is converting or not. And that's when you want to switch it up. Number of impressions. So this is another very unique one. I did another video on Facebook ads metrics, and this is why I wanted to split them apart, because with Google Ads, it's a different game. You're bidding on different keywords rather than audiences. And so here's where this is really important. Now, let me give you an example. Let's say you have one keyword you're bidding on and the conversion rate is great, the click-through rate is great, but it only gets 10 searches a month. But then you have another keyword and it gets 10,000 searches a month. It's just a lot more popular and commonly searched of a keyword. And in comparison, the conversion rate and click-through rate are not even close to as good. Guess what? It doesn't matter. This keyword, because it's getting so many searches per month, you're still driving hundreds of clicks to your website compared to this other tiny keyword that's barely getting any searches per month that you have a great click-through rate and great conversion rate on. So I think number of clicks and click-through rate are also really important metrics that are often measured a lot. You should measure them. They're great. Continue doing so. But I think one big fallacy that beginners to intermediates can make is they focus too much on click-through rate and they forget the importance of searches per month for certain keywords. And so, yeah, of course, keep that keyword that you have a great click-through rate and conversion rate on. You're dominating that, keep dominating that, but that's only going to yield you so much because it's a tiny fruit. You can squeeze the juice as much as possible. It could be a very ripe, delicious fruit, but it's so tiny, there's only so much it can yield, even if you have the best click-through rate possible, which is rare. You're really going to get 100% click-through rate unless you found a really good keyword that no one else has found. But sometimes it's okay if the click-through rate and conversion rate aren't that great, but you've gotten to a decent position and you are bidding on a keyword with a lot of searches per month. So it's a little nuance that some people can miss, especially when they're starting out as a beginner on the platform. So that's it. Subscribe if you want free tips like this, and if you want to learn more about getting into a career in digital marketing and then elevating your salary to become a data analytics marketing analyst like me. And you've plateaued with your marketing career and you want to increase that, join my free email newsletter. It's linked down below. I give free tips that I don't mention anywhere else, as well as free coaching calls where there's no strings attached, no upselling. Right now, I'm just trying to build my audience. So I'm not trying to, the actual call is of value. No one else is doing that. And yeah, subscribe, like, and leave a comment on what you want me to talk about next.